Good evening and welcome to the November 13th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Could all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome for those that have joined us or those that have joined us on cable. We've already had a few executive sessions this evening with committee applicants. We'll deal with those later. We have no public hearing. Any announcements from the board?
Nothing.
Just the announcement of the public auction.
I was going to talk about that
Okay.
in my report. But
All right. Well, we'll deal with it then.
okay.
Any additions, deletions to the agenda?
Not from me.
We have no appointments. Any public comment? Anybody that's on the agenda or not on the agenda would like to speak? Correspondence, treasurer's reports, and motor vehicle and excise tax reports come into the selectman's office. Anybody that would like a copy of that can either pull it off from the website in the weekly packet, or if you contact Sherry, I'm sure that she can make sure that you get a copy. Reports and staff initiatives, selectmen's reports. Anything from you, Ted?
No.
How was the drive back from Florida? Okay.
It was great, except
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
Jim
Nothing from me, thanks.
and Dwayne. Nothing.
Other than the traffic flow, I thought went very well out here the other night. And then I attended a meeting and several people from Waterboro was there too. Spirit of America, and I received the award for Andrew Woodson Jr.
I have a picture on my phone if you want that.
Okay,
Those are the county commissioners meeting. right?
county, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They presented awards to several residents throughout York County for the contribute they've made throughout their life. Some of them are still living, some of them have passed, so, but most all the towns is represented. There's about
All right.
About 100 people there.
Good. I don't have anything, Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be brief because much of what we're going to talk about tonight deals with the election, and we'll take a good chunk of time up of that. Just one announcement for the public and those here. The foreclosure property auction is this Saturday, November 17th at 10 o'clock in this room in Town Hall. And we have approximately 40 properties that have been in foreclosure for quite some time. Certified and regular mail letters were sent out a long time ago to the owners in hopes that they would pay their back taxes and get a quick claim deed and keep their property. At least 3 are in the process of doing that, so the foreclosure list could be decreased by at least 3 between now and 10 o'clock Saturday morning. We've been in contact with several folks that are trying to get those paid up. Abutters letters went out. We did something different that hopefully will generate a good deal of interest here. Last time we tried, we had 34 properties for a sealed bid auction. We sold only 3. And we're doing a live auction this time so that it does not require a minimum bid. And between myself or other members of the selectmen that will be running the auction, we will just randomly pick a number, and if there are no bids, we will go down until hopefully we sell most, if not all, of these properties. And a big thank you to all who voted and came out on a rather damp day and helped us, and people were very patient waiting in line here for up to an hour to get through the process. I think we did a good job for our first time out, and we'll talk more about this in another agenda item here and get into greater detail. We've got a short PowerPoint presentation to throw up on the screen. The selectmen have a copy of that PowerPoint in front of them as well, so we'll pull that up on the screen when we get to that. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All right, let's move right into new business. Discuss a vote to remove a member of the budget committee who has moved out of the state.
That'd be Richard Briganti, who was an active member of the budget committee, but Julie every now and then catches him on Facebook, but he won't answer our emails, so we know he moved out of state, and I think it's fair to, at least for the moment, take him off, because we have 2 other members that would like to be on the Budget Committee, and we really need to fill that committee up.
So moved.
Been moved, do I have a second?
Second that.
Been moved and second, I assume we'll send him a letter.
I don't know how we're gonna send it, but we'll try and find him.
Well, to his last, at least his last known address, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Discuss to appoint an applicant to the Library Board of Trustees for the term to expire June 30th, 2020.
I'll appoint Joanne Johnson to the Library Trustees.
Okay, it's been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. This is she is filling the position previously held by April Cody. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Next item. Discuss a vote to appoint an applicant to the Budget Committee for the term to expire June 30th, 2020. This would replace the term of Lisa Crocker. And we have an applicant, John Burrows. What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Been moved,
I will second that.
seconded to appoint John Burrows to the Budget Committee. His term would expire June 30th, 2020. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, next item. Discuss vote to appoint an applicant to the Budget Committee for a term to expire June 30th, 2019. This is the term from Mr. Brigatti was holding. So we have an applicant, Thomas Lee, who we interviewed this evening to fill this vacancy that will expire June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
It's been moved by Ted,
Second.
second by Dwayne. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Moving right along here, aren't we? Discuss the vote to appoint an applicant to the Planning Board for a term to expire June 30th, 2021. This is a term filling the vacated spot of Judy Worth.
John Noel is with us this evening.
How are you? We appreciate your stepping up here and volunteering. So we previously had an interview with John. So what is your pleasure?
I make a move that we appoint John Noel to the Planning Board. Term expires June 30, 2021.
I second that.
Have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Discuss a vote to appoint Michael M.R.S.A as a Deputy Code Enforcement Officer and Deputy Plumbing Inspector for a term to expire this June, the next June 30th of 2019. And this is because we need additional support.
Well, he has some Monday time.
Okay.
Patty in Lyman is really not interested in working outside of Lyman at the moment, I guess. The fellow up in Limerick, I'm not sure of the situation, but Glenn is not using him, nor do I think he's readily available. So Mr. Demers has expressed an interest. He hasn't been a code officer for a great long period of time, so I've instructed Glenn to first find out where his comfort zone is, but certainly for Monday, for septic inspections, for foundation inspections at the very least. He could be helpful there for, I don't know, 2 to 4 hours a week if this building activity continues. And then, we'll see where his strengths lie and go from there. But he's willing to do it. He's vetted this with the Shapley Board of Selectmen because Monday is not a work day for him. And it could be here, even though Tammy's not working on Mondays, but we could still set him up to do some inspections.
So what's your pleasure?
Where is he from?
I think he lives in Acton, but he's
But he's Shapley.
the Shapley CEO.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to appoint Michael Demers as Deputy Code Enforcement Officer and Deputy Plumbing Inspector.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
And just for the public's benefit, he only gets paid for the hours that he works. This is not a stipend.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
What do we want to do next month? Schedule for 2018 December meeting dates. This shouldn't take too long. We meet on the 11th. I don't think we're going to meet on Christmas night. But you want to hold it to one meeting for the month?
I don't see why not. I mean, unless there's
I
something
mean, there's
comes
not
up.
a lot of pressing issues. So
If the chairman finds that there's something we need to vote on, he can call
we
a
can always call a special
special
meeting. right?
meeting.
So
It's up to you.
that would be my, vote would be to do the one meeting on the 11th. If something comes up that we need an emergency meeting, we'll call the emergency meeting. Okay?
Good to me.
Okay.
That was easy.
In
All
that
right.
case, let me go get Christine and Nancy if she's available. They were going to join us for the next item. Thank you for voting that.
Anybody here from Woody's? No, we're not holding anybody up here.
This light, this one. Yeah.
Dim the lights.
So I met with Christine and Matt Bowers and Nancy Johnson and David Benton joined us. We met today and we take notes during the election, so we kind of pull things into a little more formal situation. You have this PowerPoint in front of you, and there's a few extras here. Circulate up here. I'm just going to read it off the screen anyway, for the most part. I boiled this down into 4 bullet points, what we did well, what we need to change or improve on, the June 19 election and the November 2020 election for next steps. And here comes Christine, and Nancy will join us if she can, but typical Tuesday night out there's a few folks. Next slide, David. A little over 3,100 ballots, 61% turnout, which is pretty darn good. And 40% of that was absentee voting. I made the ridiculous challenge, if you will, that we were going to shoot for 800 absentee ballots, and everybody thought that I was nuts, kind of including myself as well. But the voters far surpassed that, well over 200. That helped keep the line inside the building. When, if you were here that night, it was almost out the front door for a while. Christine and Nancy did an excellent job organizing the Frontage room, and we'll talk a little bit about that later and what we could do the next time around and making it a little bigger, getting some of that other furniture out of the way. They worked with the Secretary of State in getting us approved to come back here. Obviously, the challenge that you're going to see before we get done here was parking and the amount of time it takes to get a ballot through the machine. We've got some suggestions for both of those things. Next one, David. What we can do, one thing we could do is go back to the school if we want to and ask for a teacher workshop the first Tuesday in November. But both Christine and Nancy and myself agree that if we were to vote at a school in November and vote in this building in June, that would do nothing but confuse the voters. So we've got some things that we can think about, and that is parking, increasing our parking out behind Town Hall here. The garden can be moved way out back. It could be given a proper fence that's dug down to keep out digging critters. Water and power is not that far away, so if we wanted to enlarge that parking lot where the garden is, we could do that. Or parking could be enlarged out behind it if people didn't want to move the garden. And between getting the school to let us have an election in November is one option, and I guess I see this as another option. We need a sizable increase in the number of parking spaces here if we're going to continue to vote here. And remember this, shoot, David, could you bring me the magic laser there, please? Forgot to bring mine in. Right, where'd the picture go?
Whoops. When I was getting this, I hit you the super magic ones.
It's gonna burn holes through the screen.
That's right.
Careful.
So, remember, when we did the lease for the food pantry here, we have a 50-foot strip right here that kind of goes through where those things are, that we've got enough room here to put a road. And for events like the election, we could, if we wanted to, have a one-way traffic flow in here to a bigger parking lot and then come out this way or vice versa. Not for everyday use, but for those big times, like elections, we could do that. We have enough space to do that. This is our parcel. And obviously, we leased an area on something like that, I guess, to the food pantry. We would try to, stay out of that. But they're very well aware that there's a 50-foot strip here that we can use if we so desire. So as we get deeper into the slides here, we'll talk about, the idea of talking to the school versus enlarging our parking. We need some lights out here. That parking lot is darker than the ace of spades. And why don't we go ahead and move through the slides, David, rather than talk just about this. But I didn't have enough staff here for the 7 to 9 a.m. shift. And one of the problems that was a real problem at times was we had a lot of people that were just trying to come into the building to vote. And they'd come into the building before to go to Funergy, and so they were coming to that end of the building, and we didn't have enough staff out there to direct the handicapped folks should be coming in that entrance. And for a lot of other people that were parking in that, wherever they could, because it was very limited parking, they just came in there to vote. So we know we need to have 2 people down on that end of the building, probably on both ends of the building for that morning rush, to be able to properly separate, and so that the handicap entrance is used by people with handicap plates and that have a reason for coming in that way. The idea across the field was good in theory on a dry day, but pretty poor. If you saw it midday today, you wouldn't even go out there with boots because you'd probably leave your boots in there. David, have you had a chance to talk to Rick?
I have not.
Okay, we may have to do some repairs over there, but we'll work with that. And in my mind,
Minimal damage, so.
yeah. I mean, David's suggestion, I wanted to bucket, but I knew he was right, so we shut it down around lunchtime, I guess it was, or a little after. So that lost us at least 35 to 40 spots for the rest of the day. Next slide, David. In my mind, what we have here now is just inadequate for the governor and the presidential election. We did a great job with absentee voting, and if we could do a better job with parking, I think we could handle the June elections here right off. One other thing we'll talk about is, the next one here. If we don't have any local ballot questions, we could we could cut in half our time this past election getting people out the door. We had to have a separate machine for the state ballots and a separate machine for the local questions. And that's probably not going to change anytime soon as far as we know. So in my mind, we rent 2 more machines if we're going to have questions of both the local and the state nature. Because the real bottleneck in this whole process here is those voting machines. And if you could get them out faster, the parking situation would immediately be better. Next one, David. The other thing we did not do, which is why we spent so much time here in the wee hours of Wednesday morning, all the absentee ballots can be counted on the Saturday or the Monday before the election. And rest assured that Christine and I agreed that we will do that the next time. and take the time during the day on another day, it's perfectly legal to do, and we won't have to do all that. How many hundreds did we, well, we processed all 1,200, because you hadn't done anything before, right? And that took a long time. We've already talked about the lighting, probably 2 fixtures on the recreation side that needs to be installed out there. Get rid of some of that extra furniture in the frontage room for a few more voting booths, possibly 2 more voting machines, and a better path for folks coming in the handicap entrance to get to the check-in tables up front. They were walking through the middle of the voting area this time around. Christine and Nancy have some ideas on that. The food pantry, we could approach them to see if they were willing to change their Tuesday pickup times on an election day. A normal Tuesday for them, they're open until 7, dispersing food. I have not talked to Cleo about that, but we could certainly, that's one possibility. Another possibility is fixing the branch field across the street, but I just don't think that that's worth the time and money. I'd rather put the money into parking spaces with gravel and not trying to grow grass. But we have not talked to Rick about this yet, and we'll make right with him in terms of the damage that was done over there. If he wants that crushed rock taken out, I mean, David and our crew can do that. Absentee voting, it was suggested by Christine, I think, and I think Nancy kicked her in the shin for suggesting Saturday voting. And we could also do the Thursday night before the election. Instead of closing at 5, we could be open later that evening.
So is there a statutory requirement that Thursday evening, Thursday into business is it, right?
That's it, that's correct.
So there's no,
But we can stay open later, we can stay open till 7.
but, so it's a statutory requirement that Friday cannot,
That's
I mean,
correct.
that Friday and the weekend
That's
and
correct.
Monday is out of the question, right?
That's, yep.
When the local jurisdiction closes on Thursday, that's when absentee voting stops in that town. Right? So next steps, process the absentee ballots on a different day to make it easier on the staff after the polls close. Increase staff on both entrances, but especially the other on the recreation side, to help folks get in. We were amazed at the increased numbers of mobility impaired folks that we had just not, we probably had 2 or 3 dozen.
Yes.
I don't know that we've seen a dozen or more before we were at Massabesic East, of people in wheelchairs or with canes, obviously having trouble walking. So I don't know if it was a shorter walk and they came, but it was great to see them come in. And
I had 2 that stayed out on the road, and they both brought either a wife or a husband in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And I said, wait a minute, I'll get you over in the parking lot. No, we're all set. And I mean, they was happy just to be there.
And they dropped their wheelchair out on Townhouse?
They
No,
dropped
they
it
came
across the
right
street
through
and
the
come,
wheelchair.
I stopped the traffic so they could come across the road.
Oh,
That was 5, 6 o'clock.
good.
When you process the absentee ballots, those go through the machine?
Yes,
Okay. So there's no manual counting?
there's no manual counting, except for a few that might not read because, for strange reasons. I mean, we only had 14 ballots that did not read in that machine that night, so that's really good.
So all 1,200 of those ballots that are in envelopes have to be opened up, unfolded, and then we put them through the machine after the polls close. We tried to do it during the day, but we got very little done. It was so busy and steady all day long.
And there's no, well, we could have manually, could have used both machines for the state, right, and manually counted
You
the
could
local,
have.
right? But
Yes.
I don't know if that gained anything. To me, we ought to go get 2 more.
Machines cost $8,000. I'd rather spend $2,000 and rent them, because if the state in a couple of years decides to change machines, I don't want to own a dinosaur.
Yeah, and I think the state's contract is up in after 2019 with ES&S, who they currently use, so I'm not sure where they're gonna go, so I think renting at this point would be a better option till they get a new contract.
Well,
Whoever
we
they're gonna use for
don't have to worry about it until 2020, right?
Yeah,
But even if we don't have any more parking spaces, just those 2 more machines is going to help
Yeah.
measurably.
You know, if you just think about it, the average, when I was here at 10:30 was a little over half hour. and you talked to some people that were here at 7, it was a little over a half hour, right?
Oh, we had some people that were here an hour.
Okay.
That was the
They
max.
they was
45.
averaging an hour, now and 10 minutes, didn't they?
Did you use some of your pictures for later? They're even gonna show you some pictures of the front lobby.
So if you took, if you could get people through that, and how many people were queued up at that time behind the voting machines?
100 plus.
Oh,
Well-
behind the voting machines to check out?
Yeah,
Probably only, I bet maybe 20 at the most, because I can only let somebody in that room too.
Yeah.
So I would have, Bob was on the door, so I'd have him stop letting people in. While they only, I'd only allow like 20, 25 maybe queued up there because there wasn't enough
Yeah.
room and
She
but
managed that.
so that would have, if they could got through there in half that time, then you'd have flowed people a heck of a lot more.
I mean, the line in the front lobby, as you'll see, was zigging and zagging, going in little curlicues out here, just so people wouldn't have to stand outside.
Yeah.
Okay, one option is to go back to the RSU 57 board and ask for that second Tuesday in November to be a regular teacher workshop day. We can certainly take that tack if we want. But if that does not occur, then obviously we need more parking here for anything that we do. We all agreed that voting at Town Hall in June and another place in November is just very confusing to the voters. So hence the idea that I like the best is the community gardens. Either the parking up behind the community gardens or relocate the community gardens and make them better as well. Give them a little better situation there in terms of keeping the critters out. We've got plenty of water and power close by, so we can do that. A lot of that we can do with our town crew. We've got the equipment in-house to do much of that work. Next one, Dave. We talked about October Saturday mornings for absentee voting on at least one Saturday, and just mentioned the Thursday night, extending that beyond the closing deadline there. Second polling place was discussed by some, but where would we do it with a suitable ADA compliant facility that had enough parking? The Grange Hall has no proper ADA access.
There's no parking down there, either,
Yeah.
to speak of.
And the other thing is that Georgia and Sharon, once it got busy, and that's a Tuesday, so they worked till 7, they stayed there and looked at the line. Nobody came in to register a car because you couldn't get to the front desk. So we can put, Sharon and Georgia to work, closing at least no later than 3 o'clock, I think, if not for, possibly the whole day. I mean, we don't open till 11. But we could service the public for a few hours, but certainly after that, we should consider closing the front lobby.
It'd be interesting to see what they took in out there throughout the day, to whether it's even worth,
Yeah.
I mean, if,
They both said that they weren't
so.
busy at all. I think, if you came to do.
I was with the understanding that it was gonna be closed anyway. And I was surprised when I heard that they was open, so.
Well, we brought the line through this room so that the code office could still be open and people could get to them. We didn't want to cause that problem. And that worked fairly well, but the lobby was just overwhelmed.
Yeah, the problem was is that as soon as they got out in the hall, the line then moved down the hall.
That's why they put the desk out there?
I don't know.
Well, they dragged the desk and they blocked off the hallway.
Right.
Don't tell the code officer that.
Yeah,
Next slide, Dave.
Rather than having the line form in this room, it was started to form out. It didn't make any sense.
So why don't you go to your pictures and then we can jump in on Q&A. I don't remember what time this was. Do you, David?
This was in the late afternoon. This was the evening rush, basically, starting here.
But the line was this long for the morning rush before people started to go in to the polling place.
And it kind of fluctuated throughout the day, but then afternoon, it stayed pretty much steady. Probably 4 o'clock on, it was like this, but then after maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock, it started going out here. This was probably 5:30 to 6 or so.
And this is the zigzag curly
3
key.
to 7, and that's wrapped around a couple of times. They're back and They actually at one point were by Sharon's window, coming back across the whole lobby toward Gary's office, circling around and going back again.
At least we had room for them to be undercover.
That's where they had to all stop in the front
I mean, if
door.
we had had that weather over at M.R.S.A East for the 2016 election, potentially hundreds of people would have gone home. And I wouldn't have blamed them. They stood in the line over there for over an hour.
And the parking lot was just pretty jammed all the time.
We had 3 people in this parking lot, no, cheapers.
How'd that get there?
And the Buck boys came over, there were firefighters that volunteered, but obviously we paid them as well. I hope we did, Matt. But, they did a good job. Pete Cody was out there, Dwayne was out on the road and had radio communication, so we had one-way traffic there for what limited parking we have, and worked about as good as you could get. And how far north, Kevin's not here, did parked cars on Townhouse, Dwayne, go up to the pit?
Up beyond Doug's pit at one point.
So,
I don't know how much farther, because you got a little knoll and I couldn't see down the other way.
250 yards maybe. David, were you out to know any how far north on Townhouse?
I know that the 2 Buck boys were parked in Doug's entrance, and I think there were cars beyond that.
The parking out in the road, my thought would have filled the Brant parking lot and doing the head, I mean, but they're not able to use the field, and we was trying to park them on the edge of the road, but, and it also slowed the traffic down.
Yeah.
Realistically, the parked cars out on that road slowed your cars down, so nobody, it was dark, and the people crossing the road, at least they was going slow enough so they could see them.
Maybe before we get off this slide, Matt and David, Nancy and Christine, if you want to jump in on any comments, we welcome them at this time. Anything I haven't covered that you guys want to, you folks want to say?
Missed most of it, so.
I missed that part. I missed the parking lot.
Yeah, and rightly so, you were busy.
We'll say it, somewhere back here, probably in this one here, there was somebody over at the, and I think it was right after this, it got even thicker, and there was somebody that came in to register their car, and they stood there for like 25 minutes before they realized that wasn't the line for motor vehicle.
Yeah, I found another one later on in the evening too. He was just standing there holding his title paperwork when I was checking for absentees. And he just couldn't get in.
Do you have any more crowd shots? Do you have any more work-related shots, Mr. Lowe?
Well, there wasn't work related.
Is that it? All right, go back to the Q&A then. That'll be the last. Just open it up for discussion from the board and whoever else, however it goes here.
I think you know, based on the situation, I think he did the best with what, you know, we had to deal with. If it hadn't rained, the Brant Field would have worked. But, you know, who knew that it was gonna rain all week beforehand, and then, you know. But, that being said, I'm not sure that with that amount of people, even if we go to M.R.S.A East or if we went to the middle school, whether there's enough parking to accommodate it anyway.
The people would have still been outside, I believe.
Well,
In the rain.
the only way at the middle school you could do it is to bring them in and queue them up in the cafeteria. If you're voting in the.
That's the whole wrong entrance because they use that side of the gym and we're on the other opposite end
See,
because of the doors.
My put is that we approach the school board one more time and forget about M.R.S.A East, all right? And say we want to use the middle school. The middle school should be, or could be separate from the high school schedule, right? Where they might be able to shut down the middle school easier, right? And not have school at all on those days.
That would
So
be perfect.
right, because that's the only way you're gonna accommodate all the parking.
And entering in, because the way we would have to set up, we wouldn't have
Right.
that curtain in the middle, and you wouldn't be able to
Right.
queue them up in the cafeteria.
Right, and
But
then you
without
can-
being able to use that side, it wouldn't work.
Right. And I don't, like I said, I'm not sure that, you know, maybe a discussion with our two board members, if they give us the impression that it's ain't gonna happen, then, you know, why continue, you know, it's like beating your head against the wall, right?
And I know I missed part of the meeting, but did anybody go over the fact of moving the community garden and making more parking there?
We did.
What was the thoughts on that?
We haven't talked about it much, but we had a graphic up there showing the property here.
Flip that picture back up there, David. Because there's a couple of things, I don't know, has anybody, has Jimmy gotten back to us relative to this?
No, Mr. Porter came and walked under the building, but if he gave an estimate for Jim, I don't know what it is.
In the town's
Oh,
I
property?
can give you some information on that. He did not give us a price yet, and the problem is the roof will have to come off to move it. We had CMP out here and telephone company, and their opinion is they could not raise the wires high enough without disconnecting them, and they didn't want to do that. So removing the roof and possibly replacing it with new lumber or would be the cheapest way to do it, because if you lift that roof off, it's gonna be like $3,000 a day for a crane to do that work. So we are still in the process.
The property behind here,
Our property ends at the wall of the cemetery.
okay,
The
so,
wall of the
so
cemetery,
the
yes.
original townhouse property, right, was this?
Yeah.
lot. This is what we
Actually,
bought from the
yeah.
days, right? From Donnie and Ginny. So the real question is can this be easily accommodated in this area? Did we lease this,
I've never heard of lease
the community garden?
involved with the community garden.
I think it was just an agreement, right?
I thought so. You know, that was what, 2 years for us, so those timbers are 7 years old? Community garden, 7 or 8 years old?
Yes.
So if they came up, some of them would be rotten enough to need to be replaced anyway. We've got equipment to move dirt. We need water and electricity for water. And a better fence to keep the critters out. The trees that are there abutting it shade the garden, and that's not a good situation either. But I think paramount is the parking for a function here.
Yeah, and then it's a matter of working the speed through the building, right?
Yes.
It's,
Keeping anything municipal off the November ballot would be huge, because we'd have 2 machines to feed, and that would shut that line down quicker.
you know, I think you just go get more machines, you know? I mean, there may always be something that you have to vote on from a municipal standpoint, but,
To buy them, it's $8,000 a piece, to rent them, it's $2,000 a day right now, as of this year.
well, $4,000 would have made it very handy, wouldn't it, the other day?
I have purposely not spoken to the garden club, just so you know, and now that we're on TV here, I'm happy to do that, but I wanted to speak with the board first on this idea.
And did they have, I know they had, this whole piece over here has never been developed other than they get the shack, and did they lease all of the beds out last year?
I don't know the answer to that. I thought there was a waiting line 2 years ago. I don't know if that's evaporated or not.
I don't think so.
No?
I think I noticed quite a few.
I mean, you could almost come over here.
Sherry, do you have any knowledge on that?
I do know.
Yeah.
We gotta be careful on that side, Dennis. That green area is the leach bed.
Well, it'll make it grow better in the yeah.
It could go all the way back, it doesn't have to be square.
Right. Yeah, I'm just thinking, they're gonna come in here and park, they wanna access.
That
But if
starts downhill when you get to the back of it.
Yeah, that's the only thing that you're gonna look at is,
Put a grade there.
anyway, so, to me, I mean, I don't know, you know. We might be whistling up a tree if, to go back, keep going back to SAD 57, but, you know, there's a number of towns used, fire bond, Hollis used, which surprised me, they didn't do the one down in the center of town, they used the fire bond up on Plains Road. And I don't know where their parking is there, along the road.
How many people do they have voting there?
Huh?
How many people do they have voting there?
I don't know, what's this, out of,
All this must be
Hollis, yeah.
6,000-7,000, I would guess.
yeah, it might
I
be
think it's 4 or
5.
something.
No?
I don't know what it is. I just didn't know what the turnout was,
I
and
mean, Buxton uses their facility, but they've got a big meeting room out back, or that can be accessed. So they run their town office from the front, and they vote through the back part of the thing, but they, you know, they don't have a whole
About
lot
46
more parking in
about
Buxton
4,600 people.
than we do, but they didn't have a municipal ballot,
Right.
so it was like 10 minutes for people to vote in Buxton. Now, I'm sure at the peak, it was probably higher than that, but they had 2 voting machines that, so it was as fast as people could get through the voting machines, right? And if you look at it, it would be, they would get through twice as fast as what we could.
If we had more voting machines. I mean, I love the concept of having more voting machines, but then we have to redesign because they have to be so many feet from voting booths. And that whole setup in that room, it's small. So we really would have to make sure
Well,
we
you'd have to
cleaned out
move-
all that extra stuff so
Yeah,
that way
move
we
it.
had a little bit more room.
I'll be careful how I say it, but you need to move the junk out of the room while you're using the room, right?
We moved most of it to the back behind
But we would even need
the
that
booths
space.
to get
Need
enough
that space.
space, but we still have other issues that we have to address, which we talked about this morning.
What if you just drove everybody to the not the door that we went out, but the other door? The second door in front. I mean, use that door instead of the one that everybody went out of.
Well, I don't,
You could do that maybe and then have another set of machines over there where the fundraising
Oh, I see what
tables
you're
are.
saying, yeah.
But the problem is when we bring in folks from the handicap entrance, they're supposed to cross in a
They're not-
separate area from the voting area,
that's
right?
correct. They're not supposed to go in the voting place before they have voted. They need to go out and around. So what I need to do is move those tables and put just a rope so that way they'll have a little, come in, if they're gonna come in that way, they don't actually go into the voting place and
So
come around, so.
do we have anybody doing petitions,
Yes, we did.
right? And they were standing outside?
Well, they kind of came in that door when it was pouring. But,
Bless you.
yeah, yes, and then they went underneath the roof with the,
Hey, you need to tell them to bring a tent.
I did, but, you know,
The bake sale from the high school brought a tent. They were
Yes.
great.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Big tent.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of kids too. Lots of food.
Yeah.
Matt, anything from you that we didn't cover?
I think from our perspective, we thought that parking on the town, on the Route 5 entrance, that it was handicap only. And I think that was kind of confusing initially, and then we dumped the sign.
Yeah.
Because once you were full, we were able to send some cars, and getting people down to one side. Once they were in here, and then of course, someone parked right in the way, and so they couldn't drive around the parking lot. I'm not sure how that happened, but once you had somebody come in the new side.
Talking about the knucklehead that parked right there.
Yeah, that's the spot.
Right.
But once they came into that side of the parking lot, if they wanted to get to a closer parking stall, trying to facilitate to get them out when all the traffic's still coming in.
But I think
There was a lot of congestion in the parking lot.
even if we put in even if we didn't add any more spaces, if you had this movement in and out, it would have solved a
Yeah.
lot of.
I'm looking at that right now, Dennis, saying the same thing.
Right, so
Oh,
so
second
you
entrance
put the
into the
damn,
parking lot?
the
That
entrance
could be
here.
that could be gated off other than when you run into it.
That's right.
You got a big event.
Second entrance
Yeah.
right there.
That'd be excellent, actually.
And then you can use this up here to drive the handicap access.
That's,
I'm wondering how many more parking spaces you can get by putting that at an angle.
the gardens at an angle.
No, the parking spaces on the front and the back of that parking lot.
Oh, an angle.
You put that at an angle, you're gonna gain 2 or 3 parking spots.
How?
30 degrees.
Slant the,
Slant. You pull in at an angle, you back out.
So, let me ask the dumb question. Why, other than I know there's a distance, but if you brought, is there any reason that, I mean, this is handicap accessible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The lobby?
Yeah.
Longer walk, yes.
I think that was our only real
Well,
thought about that was.
Let me see your point of proof.
Dennis,
Yeah?
there was 2,276 voters at Hollis, according to what their report said.
So, 2/3 of what we have.
Was that not absentee though, or was that absentee?
That's total, that's what
That was-
voted.
Total
Includes our
balance.
absentees, yeah.
It's counted ballots.
The parking right in here isn't any longer than from here into that building. That's quite a step from right there all the way on that back lawn. So as far as handicap goes,
I'm just
This-
thinking, yeah.
this triangle, L-shaped piece right here is quite a walk compared to from here to here.
That was the confusing thing, because we put a handicap parking arrow come in there, but it was never my intention for handicap only, which is why the word only wasn't in the sign. I think people naturally assumed that when they saw that sign, that's where they went, and there were all kinds of people, just random people, parking in that back lot during the rush hour.
If we had a 50-foot pavement right there, you've got this whole 50 feet would give you the road 20 feet and 30 feet of parking spaces so that you can do this number too. So you could gain 25 parking spots right there in that parking lot with,
And probably gain a couple more in the center too.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if they back in or come in here and park, but if you get your 50 feet right here, and you've got quite an area right there that you could make just parking that don't include that garden. Just, you come out here, you can gain another 40 parking spots right there in that area. And if you paved where your can is, that's almost 35 or 40 feet can right there that you got sitting there right on the edge of the pavement. You've got a 50-foot strip right here. And then all of
Well,
this.
certainly, I mean, I think you gotta look at how many parking spots are enough, and then say, what do we gotta do to get that many?
Well, we could have 1,000 more
That was
voters
never enough.
to the next presidential. We had 4,000 in 2016, at a little over 3,100 this time.
At the presidential, we had 4,000 voters and only had 500 absentees, so we had 3,500 people come through.
Right.
So if you really That's twice as much, really, is what we had come through here after absentees.
That's right.
You subtract your absentees from that 3,100 and it's twice as much.
That's almost twice the number of cars come to this facility than over the
Town of Buxton had 4,130 votes cast, which is how many more than us?
We had
1,000 more.
Yeah, 1,000. 3136, I think.
How
It's a
many-
I think a lot of it's a matter of flowing that traffic in and out of there. But lighting is part of the
The holdup
problem
was
too.
getting it through the machine. If it would, if we got to get it through the machine quicker, people would have been out quicker, cars would have gone, would have
Yeah.
opened up space for more parking. So that was 50% of the issue right there.
I don't see that being enough for a presidential vote on this property. Not when, I don't think people should wait an hour to vote in the town of Waterboro. I just don't think that's, I think that's discouraging voters. David, do you have anything to add here?
Not really. I think we ought to approach the garden club and see how they feel about the whole thing and then make our plans.
Yeah. Kevin, we've been talking about the what ifs with this picture here. You have anything you want to add about traffic that evening?
I don't know what you talked about already, so.
Well, we've been talking about, we've got some land out here. We've got a 50-foot strip. We can put some more parking out here. We could move these gardens.
Yep.
And if this strip came in, we could have one-way flow for an election, you know, in here and out here. Obviously, that would help. But when you were out there, you really didn't do much directing the traffic. You were putting on fires on the side of the road as needed, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. I mean, there were no real issues with traffic as long as we knew what we had available for spots in the lot, we could keep kind of an even flow going.
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously were limited to how many spaces we had, and certainly more spaces are needed.
Now, we got rid of the no parking signs on townhouse. Do you think that created a
No, I don't think that was an issue at all.
hazardous situation?
Not at all.
I just mentioned that I thought the traffic out on that townhouse road slowed the traffic down
Yeah.
so that, especially when
Yeah.
it rained, it was a lot
Yeah.
safer.
And definitely having my cruiser on the side of the road with the blue lights on really helped out a lot too, because it slowed people down. And I don't think the traffic on both sides was impeding the flow of traffic. If like Dwayne said, if anything, it slowed them down.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I mentioned to you in the morning that when I came back through from my weekly run, or twice a week run to the Barron Center, 22 in front of the Buxton Town office, they had orange cones down the middle of the road and down both sides of the road, so they kind of forced everybody to slow down on 22. That's what, 50 miles,
Right, yeah.
55 miles an hour,
Yeah.
right? So that's how they at least attacked the, and they did it both at the town garage and at the, up at the
I think being relatively close to the intersection also helps. It doesn't give people a chance to build up a lot of speed. And if somebody's coming, from the other end of Townhouse Road, they saw my blue light, so that kind of checked them up before they actually got down here.
I had a guy stop and he said, "You're doing a heck of a job compared to what Standish's got over there."
Oh.
They had Route 35 almost closed off. I'd been over through there in the afternoon and I was 15 minutes getting down 35.
Well, everybody has their own, every town has their own issues, so. We got, what we know we have and we can control is this property.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see, wait for a minute. What's this right in here?
Trees.
Take them down and make that parking lot? Go right out to the edge of the entrance right there?
Good, you can have another line of traffic butting right up to that. Street lights are on the edge of that asphalt now. That doesn't mean you couldn't have more parking there.
There's street lights and parking lots everywhere anyway, so.
Yep.
How much of a job is it to move the garden? Is that a big deal, or are you thinking of going behind the garden?
And they're all raised beds, so it's not an issue of, I mean, they did till it, you know, initially, and then they brought in the raised beds, but, I mean, depending on how solid all that stuff is. And I don't know what the slope is. I know it drops down, but it's not terribly sloped, right?
Well, we need a drainage swale out here to get rid of some water that ponds up, and you've seen it right in here. And our crew, David and our crew, was gonna gently do a swale to dissipate that water out there, very slowly. And I guess it's mostly sand and gravel, so it would go into the ground well. So it doesn't really drop. I've not been out that far. It's a drop right here, I think.
You probably wouldn't even have to drain it. I bet you could put a French drain in there and get rid of that water.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much what we're
Yeah.
gonna do, Dwayne.
If you put
So-
two catch basins in there and
So we get 2 years to fix it.
Well, what are you
Well,
gonna,
now 18 months.
what are you gonna do in June?
No, June is not gonna be, I think June, the June town meeting, what are we gonna have?
The June what?
I mean, it's the June referendum vote. There's no primary this year,
No primary.
so it's
That was
gonna be the lowest attended June vote. The next year will be primary June, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a presidential election.
Presidential.
So I think you could have the dry run is gonna be the primary in June of 2020. Right? And I think that's when, if everything goes smooth, you're just gonna have more people, right? I mean, who knows what the primary will bring, but. So you've
they're
got,
probably talking $75,000 to $85,000 to build a parking lot up there.
With pavement.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just ballparking it, but I'm.
yeah, so you get until June of 2020 to do this.
Well, we could rent our two more machines for next June, and then see what that does to the existing parking lot. We're not gonna have parking developed between now and then.
Yeah, but
That'd be a nice test.
we're gonna have
Yeah,
local,
June would be a better test than
we're
November.
gonna have local ballots next June, right? There's always gonna be a state ballot.
Bond or something, probably.
So you're gonna have 2 separate ballots. There's no positions being voted on, so there's no ranked choice voting.
Good.
So June of 2020 is really the,
Anything else from Nancy or Christine? Anything to talk about?
The workforce.
all right,
Folks, any other comments for staff here?
I think we're all set.
I think you did a good
We're
job.
gonna solve it tonight.
what you
David?
had. Thank
Just
you.
one thought. Would it be worth us doing that second entrance and extending the parking lot as much as we can in the spring to get a head start on this?
I would think that would make some sense.
That's a good idea.
Yes. So are we going to, with that in mind, are we gonna have another entrance here with a gate, or are we gonna try and work with them and come off that?
We'd have to see how much we have there to work with.
You got 50 feet?
I would work off the straight line of the end of the parking lot and see where that falls out on Townhouse
You sure,
Road.
let me see that pointer.
And see how much of
Are
a,
you sure that the 50 feet isn't to here?
that's what I'm thinking also, Dennis.
Well, remember, they own that little yellow rectangle. That's not leased land. Now, this is an assessing map, it's not a surveyor's map.
Yep.
So,
What do you mean they own this? They own a little piece over here.
no, that's the lot that they were given.
Quarter of an acre.
I thought it was on the townhouse side where that trailer was. that they own.
Yeah, but that gentleman gave them that lot.
No, that was, the lot that they gave them was on Moonpenny,
Yeah.
right
The
here.
entrance was on the.
That's it.
John's
Right here.
right?
Yeah.
It's not this big. It's not big enough to put a house.
It had a
Got a
shed
little
on it.
trailer in there.
No, the trailer was ours. We
Yeah.
bought where the trailer was.
That was right.
That was Don's,
The-
that was Don's mother. So
Yeah.
we owned, other than this little dinky piece right here.
I think you're right, Dennis, because I don't believe the gentleman would have given it to anybody if it was a house lot size.
Yeah.
I know he wouldn't have.
Dana, the surveyor over in Springfield, Dana. Anyway, we have a full survey of that property that we can
Okay.
get
But
back.
I thought the 50-foot right-of-way encompassed their entrance.
It might.
If so, we don't need an entrance permit, but God knows who's running MDOT to whether you get two entrances side by side.
We'll just get we just need the stuff
I
straight.
have a copy of that survey.
Okay. All right. Kevin, anything from your perspective?
No, sir.
Appreciate you stopping in tonight.
You're welcome.
We're gonna talk briefly about fire truck purchase.
We can do that.
Matt's here for that primarily. We were really wanting to know what the board wants to do. Our purchasing policy does allow for us to single source something. We certainly don't have to do that. Dennis and I had a conversation about the pros and cons of doing that versus going out to bid for all brands of fire trucks. Our structural firefighting fleet is an E1 brand now. All those fire trucks that fight structural fires are E1. Obviously, we would prefer that, and they have the closest facility of all the dealers, I think, don't they? That being Brunswick. But we'll take our advice from you folks in terms of whether or not to.
Well, Gary and I have had this conversation, and just my opinion, right? I think it's wonderful to try to keep a fleet pure, right? But there's gotta be a financial benefit to that. So if you look at it and say, we're gonna, and I'm not so sure that means you don't bid, all right? But if you had bids and the bid was not the lowest from, what's the name of the company again?
Greenwood?
No,
E1
the
model.
E1, the E1
The brand,
product,
sorry.
okay? If that's not the lowest bid, then I think you can take that and look at what is the financial benefit from us keeping all the same brand, okay? But just to say we're gonna single source it because we like the brand, we have no idea what else is out there relative to, for pricing, right? So to me, it's a financial analysis. What's the best deal, okay? And if the brand that you're looking at or would prefer comes in a reasonable amount from that, then I think you can say, well, we get common this, or we get common parts, or we get common maintenance, or we get those kind of things, so you can check off that there's a financial benefit for staying with that brand. But I don't know what the difference would be. What's the swing?
And I certainly don't believe we're in the Cadillac bracket anyways, that's for sure. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. We just wanted a feeling from you guys, because it wasn't the direction that we've taken prior. With any of them, so that's why we wanted to make sure we were in the right parameters of what the purchase policy is.
$600,000, I would guess that we should bid it.
Turn that light on, please, Sharon.
But that's my opinion.
Well, no, not to exceed 500 purchase price,
Well.
600 with interest.
They all go up.
Over here, keep going. There you go.
And that's not an issue.
$500,000, I would think that we would want some comparisons.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of comparisons out there. And there's a lot.
So from a spec perspective, you have a document that you can put out to bid?
The spec document that we have, of course, the inner workings of any truck, we don't build the trucks here, so the inner components are gonna come from, we have some boilerplate specs that we've been using and going through. So we're 90% there, so.
But you can have something that can go out and,
Yes.
I mean, you can, we used to do pre-bids where you have all of the people that would like to bid come into a meeting,
Yeah,
all in the same meeting.
we shouldn't have an issue with that.
Okay. But I would think that we would want to put it out, but that's one opinion.
Makes sense to me. I would say the same thing.
Even though I know that there's a preference for the type or the supplier or the
Only because that's what
dealer or whatever.
that's what we've had.
Wayne, Tim,
Comments?
thoughts?
I think you,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think if there's a value to having a common platform that maybe you could assign to it, I wouldn't take the lowest bidder necessarily. But if that was close, you know, I'd give it that value, that, whatever, say $500. I wouldn't necessarily take the lowest bidder.
No, I'm not suggesting that.
I think it probably should go out to bid at 500,000, but, even if
less.
you're right, but even if it, the E1 was $5,000 difference in price, I think the board could look at that because that's all we're running it for equipment. But let's find out what the price of these other trucks are, if there is anybody out there bidding on them.
Yeah, I think
I mean,
once
we got the bid, we got the right to reject any or all, and if we're running one type of fleet and the closest dealer, that's gonna mean quite a bunch of dollars and cents, running somebody to Nashua, New Hampshire, or Massachusetts with a truck versus Brunswick. It's gonna
Go
mean,
further.
I mean, we can offset it, the price offsets, so.
All right, we got our indication, so,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, discuss vote to renew the state malt spirituous and vinous liquor license for Woody's Sports Grill. What is your pleasure? I'm assuming we've got all set with, code office, fire. Do we ask the sheriff's office to chime in on this?
Yes, I think they comments are in there.
Okay, yeah.
And he's still here, he hasn't been called out. You get direct contact with the deputy here.
Okay, so what's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve the license for the coming year.
Okay? Do I
I
have a
second that emotion.
Second that motion, all right. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? And
One
Wayne's gonna
extension.
abstain.
I'm gonna
301.
extend it, just due to the last name
Cousin?
somewhere.
All right, gets me to item J, discuss concerning creating a paid parking system for commuter parking at Friendship Park. This was Mr. Littlefield's article that he wanted on here, so I would entertain a motion to table this until he's at a meeting.
So moved.
Moved and seconded to table, all those in favor?
I would be more in favor of tabling it indefinitely.
Well, he wanted it on there, so we gotta, I'd like to give him his say.
Yep.
Okay, old business, continue to discuss possible vote concerning cell phone policy, and we,
You had that in your packets, and got document here, both with the third tier or without. You had suggested that that third $25 tier come out. So if you're ready to vote on it, you can do that this evening.
And,
I think staff has done all the changes to it that were requested.
okay, what's your pleasure, guys?
So moved as printed.
Okay, with the 25, with the 3 steps?
Is that your intent, Dwayne? All-
Well, my
all 3
intent
steps?
was to take it right out,
To take,
take the 25 right out of it,
So just the
just the 2
option
step.
1 and option 2.
Yes.
okay.
Do I have a
That's gonna
second?
create a lot less.
Okay, been
Questions?
moved and seconded to approve the cell phone reimbursement policy. That one that has 2 options. I guess that's probably the right thing to say,
80 and 40.
80 and 40.
right?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. All right, moving right along.
Sherry?
Continue discussion on the moving of the Belleville house. So they're saying the roof's gonna come off.
Yes.
Does anybody have any idea what the cost is gonna be to?
No, we actually, I believe that Jimmy is waiting to hear from Mr. Poria for the price of moving and then go forward.
Okay, so, but I think their mission is, even if the roof's gonna come off, to move it, right?
The conversation that I had with Jimmy Saturday or Sunday was Mr. Poria does not want to move it without the roof on. Doesn't feel that he can move it.
Okay.
So,
Correct.
it's a,
Yeah.
they're looking, I guess they gotta look for somebody else that's willing to move it, but
Well,
whether,
They can't move it with a roof on there.
I understand that, but Mr. Poria does not want to move it without the roof on, so he's out completely.
Oh, I didn't know
Won't give you
that.
a price, because he's not gonna move it without the roof on, because,
So it's
They go sideways.
the ball's in Jimmy's court.
yes.
Okay.
So we'll table that till we hear from Jimmy.
I agree. Okay,
We'll put that on the next agenda.
yeah, we'll just put it as continuing all business. Other discuss vote to approve the minutes of October 23rd regular meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I'm abstaining, whatever, 'cause I wasn't here.
1 abstention. Any decisions, week action list? I think you're all set there, Gary.
Yes.
Discussion of agenda items for next meeting. We'll bring back one that Gordon wanted. We do have, Ron Smith will be here with the audit presentation at the next meeting. So that'll take up some time, and I would presume we'd have him as an appointment up front.
I had him on there, he was busy.
Nah, put him as an appointment, I think.
Appointment?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't want to pay him for that extra time to sit around in the booth.
And then further on, then on the new business, I would say that we would vote to accept the audit findings. Okay?
Well, he needs to get those to us first.
Well, yeah.
Chris left, that kind of left him in a lurch, and I don't have the copies yet.
Okay, well,
We-
I would assume that he's hiring somebody to replace Chris, right? Okay, items needing signature, minutes of the October 23rd regular meeting, cell phone policy, state liquor license for Woody's.
3 things.
That all being said, I would entertain a motion. to
Wait a minute,
adjourn.
Dennis, I got, just a comment, or maybe we ought to have a board vote here. 3417, 3418, and 3419. I'd like to see that put out to bid, when those 3 lots come. all together and the bidder has choice of
Oh,
one.
you're in the auction now.
Yeah,
Okay.
one or all of them.
Which page you on?
Page 3, Diamond Drive.
Is there any more copies of those? I do not have
Yep,
one.
right here.
You got 3 lots that are together.
Yeah. Give one to Tim. please.
High bidder would have choice of one or all of them. That way, the high bidder has got the choice to combine them lots. And we are not fighting over somebody coming in and buying the middle lot. If the guy wants the middle lot, he's gonna bid the highest and can have the choice, and then we're gonna sell the other 2. But the top bidder has got the choice of all 3 of them. And that makes a decent house lot over
Well, as
there.
long as everybody's amenable to that, that's the way we'll present it at the
Auction is one.
No, high bidder has choice of one or all 3. When we put those out, we're gonna put that,
Put them up together. I'd put them all 3 up together. If nobody wants all 3 of them, then split them up.
That works.
you can do that, as long as they all go, long as
Yeah.
the high bidder has got the choice of all of it. And if you put it all together, then they've got, if
Got a
we
bid
don't
on
get
it.
a bid on it, then we'll separate them and get
Yeah.
whatever
We
we
don't get a
get
bid
out
on
of
it,
the
then
3.
we-
But,
right.
and if there's an abutter there,
Basically 2 options for those 3 properties.
Right.
Okay.
Well, remember, we're not making any statements here about buildability. Some of these properties are not buildable by today's standards. And we're not going
and
there.
if you combined all 3 of them, I think there's probably a buildable lot.
Probably.
Of one, combining them between the 2 lots, and it's,
But that's for the buyer to determine.
that's right.
Okay, anything else? Just to remind everybody, the auction is Saturday.
10 o'clock in this room.
The girl in the back, Julie.
Question on your vote for the cell phone. When will that be implemented? I need for payroll. As of next month?
Oh, I think we need to go retroactive to first of the year for those new people. You and I can talk about that.
Okay, I didn't know if they had to vote on it or not, because it was just made a policy.
It's in the budget.
I understand that, but it's just, it's a new policy, so,
That's up to you guys.
Yes, I think,
okay.
no, if it was in the budget, I think we owe those
Okay.
2 or 3 people.
All right.
Whatever it is.
Now I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? I apologize, Julie. It's
It's all right.